Hey everyone. Alright, so this is a quick vid response for Twizz. He's not on YouTube, but he's got a Twitter page, so I'll put a link to his Twitter page in the description if you guys want to check him out. Alright, so he asked a question, what do you think of the PSP? Now, it's any PSP system. Alright, my thoughts on the PSP. Now, the PSP does have some good games, but my two biggest gripes about the PSP, one, lack of a second analog stick thingy, and two, for the longest time, game developers were in this mindset that they had to develop 3D PS2 style games for the PSP. Sometimes they would make a straight port of a PS2 game and just put it on the PSP. Other times they would make a game that was better suited for the PS2, but wouldn't necessarily work on the PSP because of its lack of a second analog stick. Now, my viewpoint towards game development is this: you have to develop games that take advantage of a system's strengths. For example, comparing, and I'm going old school, real old school here, comparing the Super Nintendo to the Sega Genesis. The Super Nintendo was a slower system than the Sega Genesis. However, it had the ability to display more colors on screen than the Genesis. And the reason for that is this: when Nintendo was first developing the Super Nintendo, or rather the Super Famicom, they had seen that the RPG genre had just taken off in Japan and it was becoming a very popular genre. So Nintendo wanted game developers to develop a lot of RPGs for their system. They wanted game developers to be comfortable developing RPGs for their system, the Super Famicom, and that's why the Super Famicom, Super Nintendo had a lot of great RPGs when compared to the Sega Genesis. Now, on a Genesis side, because of its speed, you have a lot of great sports games released for that system, and of course you have the very fun Sonic games released for that system. Again, my viewpoint about game development is you have to develop games that take advantage of a system's strengths. Now, because the PSP does not have a second analog stick, game developers should develop games that do not require that use of that second analog stick, which is why I always felt that the PSP had the potential to be a system where a lot of good RPGs should be released on a system. I felt like a lot of good RPGs should have been released on the PSP because I felt that RPGs, especially the turn-based RPGs, I felt that RPGs were better suited for the PSP because of its slower pace, and not needing you didn't need to really turn the camera very quickly as opposed to when you're playing action games. Alright, so this was my quick vid response for Twizz. If you guys have a Twitter page, you can check him out. I'll put a link to his Twitter page in the description. Alright, thanks for watching this video, everyone.